Khamzat is really known for his relentless pressure. He's an elite grappler as well. What can you exploit against him?
Yeah, I mean, Khamzat obviously world-class wrestling, grappling, but you know, at this level of the sport, everybody's world-class. You know, this is not grappling or wrestling, this is MMA. And that's where I'm going to exploit.
When Khamzat Chimaev ran into Dricus Du Plessis, fight fans expected chaos, maybe some yelling, maybe a shoving match, maybe even the kind of face-off that gets replayed for weeks. After all, these two have been circling each other for a while, tossing verbal jabs and making it clear they wouldn't mind meeting in the octagon. Instead, nothing like that happened. No trash talk, no pushing, no theatrics. Just a handshake, a nod, and a couple of friendly words. It was so calm, it almost felt wrong. But here's the thing that's exactly why it got people talking. Because if you know fighters like Khamzat and Dricus, you know respect can be just as dangerous as trash talk.
Talk to me about that main event, DDP versus Khamzat Chimaev.
I just don't get why Du Plessis has achieved so much. Because and again, I say, it sounds like, I keep saying it. Sometimes you can spar some, you know, like new guys in the gym, just like they don't have the experience, but they hit you because they do some crazy stuff.
It's the kind of respect that says, I know what you can do, and I'm still coming for you. And the way they stood there, it wasn't random. Khamzat's eyes didn't move from Dricus's. Dricus had that smirk, not cocky, but confident, the kind of look that says he's not intimidated by anyone. No raised voices, no insults, but both men walked away knowing exactly what's coming. And while that moment was quietly brewing in the background, the fight world was exploding over something else. Dana White's latest big announcement,
which is a Skydance Corporation, is also the parent company of CBS Sports, reached a landmark deal with TKO Holdings, announced today, as Paramount Plus will be the new exclusive home for the UFC starting in 2026. It's the start of a 7-year deal.
The UFC just locked in a huge new deal with Paramount. This isn't some small side project. It's a complete game changer for how people watch fights. Dana says there will be 4 big events a year on CBS, meaning millions of fans will see fights without paying a single dollar. Sounds great, right? But then he dropped the part that made jaws drop. One of those events might actually happen on the White House lawn. Picture this, 4th of July, America's 250th birthday, the White House glowing in the background, and 2 fighters throwing down on the front lawn. It sounds insane. It also sounds like exactly the kind of thing the UFC would do to make history. And Dana wasn't just talking about the venue, he hinted at bringing back huge names. Conor McGregor, John Jones. The kind of fighters who don't just sell fights, they stop the sports world in its track.
Last one for me, you know, for the White House card, do we have a number of fights that are supposed to happen? Is it a fight or is it a full-on event?
I'm flying out there the end of this month, the 28th. Going to meet with him, show him all the renderings and the plans, see what he wants to do, doesn't want to do, and then we'll start from there.
But not everyone's buying into the hype. Whenever the UFC announces a deal this big, the same question always comes up. Who's really winning here? The fans, the fighters, or just the promotion? And some fighters are already speaking up about the possible downside. Before we get there though, let's talk about someone who's been in the middle of his own fight for redemption, Charles Oliveira. The man known for never backing down recently faced something he'd never experienced before, being knocked out. Ilia Topuria landed the shot that did it, and Oliveira admits it crushed him. Not just physically, but emotionally. He says he went home feeling angry, sad, and frustrated. For a man who's made a career out of comebacks, this was a new kind of challenge. But Oliveira isn't the type to fade away quietly. His words before UFC Rio are as sharp as ever. A wounded lion is still a lion.
What are your thoughts on Ilia Topuria and Ilia Topuria as a fighter? How do you feel about just the overall fight?
É uma grande luta. Ele é grande lutador, mas eu não preciso provar mais nada pra ninguém de quem eu sou, o que eu já fiz, né, que vai dentro da cage. Essa outra chegou na oportunidade gigantesca. Vou nocautear esse cara. Essa é ela. He's gonna knock this guy out.
He's promising to remind everyone that his story isn't over when he faces Rafael Fiziev on the 11th of October. And if there's one thing fight fans know about Oliveira, it's that you can't count him out ever. And speaking of fighters making statements, Anthony Hernandez just delivered one of the most dominant submission wins of the year and did it while talking to Dana White during the fight. That's right. Mid-fight, while trading blows and chasing submissions, he was casually telling Dana how strong his opponent was. Later, he accused Roman Dolidze of grabbing the fence to stop takedowns, adding a spark of controversy to an already wild performance. When the fight was over, Hernandez didn't waste a second calling for a middleweight title shot, and the crazy thing is, it didn't feel like hype. It felt like a demand he's ready to back up. Aljamain Sterling seems to agree. The former champ compared Hernandez's cardio to Merab Dvalishvili and Alexander Volkanovski, two of the most relentless fighters in the sport.
You know what's crazy about that? Because in training, sometimes we'll hit Merab to the body, and then sometimes he'll fake that he's hurt, and he'll sell it, and he'll sell it so good. I remember the first time I seen him do it, he pretended he was hurt and made a face, and then the guy came, his partner came, ran after him, and then he just comes back and starts laughing and bouncing around. I was like, that was the funniest thing.
Sterling says Hernandez could be a nightmare matchup for anyone in the division, maybe even the champ. And that's when people started imagining it. Hernandez versus Dricus. 5 rounds, pure chaos. But before that fantasy could sink in, another high-profile fight prediction started taking over the headline. Alexander Volkanovski, one of the most tactical minds in MMA, broke down Michael Venom Page versus Jared Cannonier. Cannonier has knockout power for days, but Volkanovski says MVP's unpredictable style could frustrate him from start to finish. Unless Cannonier can disrupt Page's rhythm, Volkanovski thinks Page takes it on points. And the way he described it, the feints, the movement, the timing made it sound like a fight you just can't miss. But the biggest fight talk wasn't even about Page or Cannonier. It was about Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis.
DDP and Khamzat, who do you think wins that fight?
Honestly, Chimaev is going to get him to the ground. If he doesn't finish him there, I don't think he wins. I think if you can't get Dricus out in the first, which Chimaev can do, his first round finish is his thing. But if he doesn't get him out of there, I think Dricus, he's a guy that if you don't get rid of, kind of wins.
The biggest fight talk wasn't even about Page or Cannonier. It was about Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis, two names that guarantee drama before the cage door even closes. Fans and analysts can't stop going back to Dricus' fight against Darren Till in 2022. Till is a striker, not a wrestler, and yet he still managed to take Dricus down. Now, nobody is saying that Dricus is the same fighter today that he was back then. In fact, he's been on a tear, improving in every area, adding muscle, refining his takedown defense. But in MMA, history matters, and when you put that stat next to Khamzat's elite grappling, it's hard not to wonder how long Dricus could stay upright in that matchup. Sean O'Malley and Tim Welch, two guys who break down fights with the same energy they fight with, didn't sugarcoat their thoughts.
Someone else who calls the shots and gets them done. When you think of where mixed martial...
That's why he's the man. He's a savage. He calls his shots, he finishes his opponents. When he goes inside the octagon, you know that that guy goes for the finish. He's not looking for the decision. That's why I respect Khamzat. He's a beast.
They said Chimaev would take Du Plessis down in the first 15 milliseconds. Sure, that's an exaggeration, but you get the point. They think it's happening early, and they think it's happening with ease. Once Khamzat gets his hands locked, the fight usually goes in one direction, the mat. From there it's pressure, ground and pound, and submissions that leave no room for escape. But Dricus isn't a pushover. His third-round submission over Till was gritty, the kind of win that shows he can stay dangerous late. He's got knockout power, awkward timing, and a chin that's been tested. That's why some fans think the fight might not be as one-sided as people like O'Malley make it sound. After all, Kamaru Usman nearly flipped the script on Khamzat, pushing him to places where his cardio was tested. If Dricus can survive the early storm, who knows what happens. Still, the idea of these two colliding is so electric that even a casual encounter between them makes headline. And while everyone debates whether Chimaev steamrolls or Du Plessis shocks the world, another heavyweight storyline is quietly reshaping the division. Tom Aspinall is the man at the top right now, calm, confident, and brutally efficient inside the cage. The rumor mill went wild when people started suggesting a John Jones fight at the possible White House event. But Aspinall didn't even let the idea breathe. He shut it down completely, saying he hasn't thought about Jones for even 1 second. His focus is locked on defending his belt against Cyril Gane at UFC 321. That's a rare move in today's MMA landscape, a champ ignoring the big money super fight bait to focus on the next official challenger. Fans respect it, even if it means they won't get the dream matchup just yet. While Aspinall keeps his lane, Georges St. Pierre has been looking at the bigger picture, and he doesn't like what he sees. GSP is a man who built his career on discipline, both in the cage and at the negotiating table. When he hears about the Paramount deal, he sees potential, but also danger. Back when he fought, he could go to the UFC and say, "I'm selling pay-per-views, I'm moving numbers, I deserve a bigger cut." If fights move away from PPV to free television deals, fighters lose that bargaining chip.
The decision to largely shy away from pay-per-view, I know you said it may still be on the table, but stay over. I mean, how difficult of a decision was that to make?
It's not that it's on the table. I mean, the whole thing started going out, pay-per-view's dead. Pay-per-view's not dead. We're on pay-per-view on Saturday. And the pay-per-view business is still very much alive and well.
The UFC might still rake in huge broadcast rights money, but fighters could see less in their own pockets. His warning isn't just theory, it's happened in other sports. When big television deals came in, the leagues got richer, but the players had to fight harder to get their share. And in a sport without a fighter union, that fight is a lot tougher. GSP's point is simple. Big deals are only good if the people stepping into the cage benefit too. But GSP's cautionary words were quickly overshadowed by something else Dana White said, and the way fans reacted to it. Despite talking up the Paramount deal and its benefits, Dana made it clear that pay-per-view isn't going away completely. He said there's always the chance for a one-off PPV if the right fight comes along. That might sound reasonable to some, but for a lot of fans it sounded like backtracking. Social media lit up with comments calling him greedy, accusing him of trying to have it both ways. Some said they'd never pay for another PPV again, no matter who was fighting. Others joked that Dana would probably sell PPV tickets to watch someone open an envelope if it made money. One comment summed up the frustration perfectly. You just took $7 billion to kill PPV, now you're saying it's not dead? Pick a side. And then there was Rampage Jackson, never one to hold back. Rampage went on a live stream and accused Dana of shady practices from his own fighting days. Things like changing PPV numbers after a fight and not paying fighters what they were told they'd earned. It's not the first time Rampage has clashed with the UFC, but throwing those accusations into the middle of an already heated fan backlash made the storm even bigger. By now, the week had been filled with enough headlines for a month, potential mega fights, fighter warnings, fan revolts, but the image that kept replaying in everyone's mind was that handshake. Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis, standing just a few feet apart, speaking politely, looking each other dead in the eyes. To the casual viewer, it's nothing more than two athletes being respectful. To the fight world, it's a trailer for a movie that hasn't been made yet, a movie everyone knows is coming. In that moment, they weren't just shaking hands, they were setting the stage. Every small detail of that meeting, the way Khamzat didn't look away, the way Dricus smiled like he knew something felt like foreshadowing. And here's the truth, moments like that are sometimes even better than the fight itself, because the fight will come and go in a few rounds, but the anticipation, the endless questions, the predictions, the debates, those can last for months. So while Dana talks deals, GSP warns about money, and fighters call each other out, this is the scene that will stick in fans' minds. Two men, no drama, no insults, just the calm before the storm. And when the storm hits, it won't matter if it's on CBS, on PPV, or even on the White House lawn, everyone will be watching.